Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to talk about Moore the Merrier. We're going to talk about how gosh darn amazing she is. We're going to talk about her VC. We're going to talk about her equipment, and we're going to see, how might you counter her, because she is so powerful. I mean, the counter video is probably going to be its own video at this rate, but let's go ahead and dig in. The first thing you need to know when looking at Moore is Rune Knight and Time Mage subjob, and she has all the goodies you think she'll have. And let me tell you, she has Quicken, she has Drain Evocation, she got it all. And while her TMR, giving Shell to the party is a pretty good, powerful buff. Giving Critical Evasion is good too. It's when we get to her mastery ability that things really start to shine. She has her standard Wind Ally buff, but she gets an additional magic 10% and accuracy 15 for self. In a world where we are inundated with light evasion meta, very good that we're seeing accuracy in the mastery ability and magic up for increased damage. Taking a look at her stats are reasonably good. 5% slash resistance, weak to striking, no pierce resistance. Does have 15% missile resistance and 10% magic resistance. I actually think the missile resistance is relatively important because one of the few units that does have poison resistance that we'll talk about here in the near future is going to be Jaden. So Jaden is going to be one of the units that does counter her. In terms of her status ailment resistance, 10% paralyzed resistance, 50% charm resistance, and 50% slow resistance. Another thing to consider here is that she herself does not have any poison resistance. She doesn't have any silence resistance. So a counter to her is really going to come down potentially to her own self. Like, she could counter herself. So there might be matches that quite easily come down to, is your Moore going to be silencing another Moore before that Moore silences you, right? There's going to be things like that are going to be happening. It's going to be a little bit of a hot mess, I think, while everybody kind of figures out what it is that they're doing. Overall, though, 61 agility, which she'll get even more agility from her passives, 259 dex, 234 luck. Take a look at her skills, though. This is where everything kind of makes you really happy here. This is where I get really excited. Her first passive, Thriving Mentality, oh y'all, is so good. It is so good. Increases magic 24% for self, increases agility 12% for self. You're probably going to be setting this just for the agility up. She gets wind enhancing rune from sub Rune Knight, wind attack 25, decrease ice resistance 5%. She gets an interesting ability here. I don't know that this will actually be set. It's called Toxins and Sedatives. Increases chance to apply poison and sleep by 15 for self. So it's interesting that we're seeing, as far as I know, this is kind of a first of its kind in terms of passives and buffs, where you are seeing a increased chance to apply a status ailment to an opponent. I really like that. I really think it's great. She has null CT, so I mean, she can get that stop immunity if she really wanted to from that Time Mage sub. And she has Sharp Mind, which is kind of the biggest deal here, right? The 40 spirit penetration plus 20 accuracy, like in a world of evasion, this is a no-brainer. Like, she is amazing. She also has Speedcast. And y'all, this is not even her final form yet. We have not even gotten down into her abilities. Counters. Now, I actually think you're going to be setting slow counter over any of her other counter. She does have magic commutation to increase AP and counter with magic damage. She has a chance when she takes magic damage to increase AP. She also has a chance to, when she takes magic damage, reduces that magic damage taken 45%. You're going to set slow counter. Slow counter is one of the best counters in the game, I would say, besides Reflect. Not only does it have a really high chance to proc, but it has a really high chance to inflict slow on the opponent. So I imagine she will be running slow counter on her build. Her basic attack does have a little bit of range here. You can see it has about 3 range, which is not the highest, but still it's pretty good. It has range height of 1. And then we get into her kit. And the first thing you'll notice is that this is a missile-based attack. So she does have missile and she does have magic in her kit. She also has access to slashing from Sub Rune Knight. It is wonderful, everybody. It is absolutely wonderful. So primary ability, 25% chance to inflict poison, 10x for 3 turns. Has pretty good range height, pretty good range. I don't think you're going to be using this because we'll be talking about her job level 25 ability here in a little bit. You're probably going to want her to use some of her buffs to open up. So the first buff that you're going to see, good health and happiness, increased defense 20 for 3 turns for allies, increased spirit 20 for 3 turns to allies, and then it is a 20% HP restore on herself, so very powerful regen. I definitely think you will see this potentially being used for her. She may want to stay backline, pop a lot of buffs first before she kind of charges into battle. Life of Longevity, you want her to activate this as well. This is kind of one of those reasons you may turn good health and happiness off, is because you want her to activate long life longevity. There's so many words, everybody, in this unit's kind of kit that I get tongue-tied all the time, but this is the 200% chance auto revive or re-raise for self. And then while she has re-raise on, plus 40% magic, plus 30 accuracy, and plus 30 healing power. So all around, I mean, you want this. You want this. It's gonna be good. Soul Sedation, 25% chance to inflict sleep for 3 turns. Increased chance by 20% if you have at least one of the following on: regen or AP restore for target. So of course, if you're going to be popping regen, if you're not planning on popping good health and happiness, you might turn Soul Sedation off. You absolutely might turn this off. It'll be interesting to see how the AI prioritizes what abilities they use. I'm wondering if she might have a different style of AI. I haven't taken her out into the field yet. I do have her level 99, but it'll be interesting to see, like, maybe if you want to go the sleep route, right? Because maybe you have that 45% of sleep and you set the passive to get an additional 15 for a 60% chance to land sleep on your opponent. Maybe you go that route, and maybe because it is a 200% modifier attack, so it is her strongest quote unquote attack in her kit. So I could see a build of her going for the sleep build. There's kind of like I would say there's 2 different builds for her right now. I think there's probably sleep and poison. There is potentially paralysis, but I don't think the paralysis is going to be very relevant. Finally, we do get to kind of the showcased ability, Divine Toxicology, for her. 25% chance to inflict poison on the opponent. It's 165x modifier, cross-shaped attack, range height 1, AoE height 1. If poison does land on your opponents, it is defense 30 down, spirit 30 down, decreases healing target, power 50 for 3 turns. So the one thing I don't like about this is that it's only 25% chance to inflict poison. I wish it was a little bit higher. Granted, you can set toxins and sedatives to increase the chance to apply poison up to about 40%. And granted, a lot of units don't have poison immunity, but you're going to be able to negate a lot of this just by setting the white marshmallow VC potentially. So I wish it was a little higher. And honestly, while Divine Toxicology is kind of her ranged attack, you're probably going to be relying on Meridian Channel a lot more. And that brings up the conversation of her job level 25 ability, which is ridiculous. It gives Spirit Penetration 40 for self. So if you set the Rune Knight passive, you are at 80 Spirit Penetration with this attack, right? You're going to deal 165x modifier. It's ranged, 22 AP, has 3 uses, range height 1, and it grants auto restore 15% for 3 turns, everybody. That is as strong as Lucio's TMR. That is as strong as any of the other AP generation TMRs out there. It's ridiculous. So you're gonna be using this ability. And like I said, you may go for like Divine Toxicology or Soul Sedation, but honestly, this is the ability I think that you are going to be using a ton. Now, we'll jump to her LB real quick, and then we'll kind of look at her sub kit options. Her LB has a 67% chance to inflict silence for 3 turns. And if silence lands, it's AoE resistance minus 30, 200% modifier, and it has a cross-shaped attack with range. The one thing with this, and again, there's going to be a lot of AI tuning with this, because it's a 200% modifier attack, she may prioritize this over potentially her job level 25 ability, over potentially poisoning the enemy. So depending on what status ailments you want to land on your opponent, you may have to actually like turn off and on a specific set of passives, a specific set of buffs to kind of lay out a road for you to use this unit. So she's going to be very high skill level. I think she's going to be very no-brainer, but she's like, you can put her in your team and she'll probably be good. But for people who are wanting like high skill level PvP units, she's going to be an exceptionally high skill level PvP unit. Now, her sub job for Apothecary is interesting, and I apologize because there's a lot of medical words here that I cannot say the best. But Hypodermic Surge, piercing, inflicts poison for 3 turns. You know, this is interesting because it's piercing, 1. It has range height 1, it's 4 range, and it has potentially diagonal in it. Very interesting ability. I could see a world where you don't sub Rune Knight or Time Mage because you want to use this. Her other ability, Hyperesthesia, is a 25% chance to inflict paralyze for 3 turns if the target has 1 or more of the following effects. So if they have paralyze, decrease their agility 20, and this is a large range AoE. I don't think we'll see a lot of this utilized. You know, there are other units who have, you know, paralyze abilities, and we very rarely see them used. So I think out of these 2, you're probably going to turn this off, and you might use Hypodermic Surge. Hypodermic Surge is also a missile-based attack, so keep that in mind. So if you're not wanting to use the primary attack, which has a 25% chance to inflict poison for 3 turns, 121% modifier. Actually, I mean, you might even turn the main ability off and use this one since it's piercing and it's a stronger modifier attack. And I believe it has 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it has the same range. So you might just sub Apothecary and use that Hypodermic Surge. But if you do want to go the route for subbing Rune Knight, you do get access to Drain Evocation, you get access to Arrow Blade, Hazard Spell, Windbreak Rune, Eraga Blade. So she's going to be incredibly powerful. She kind of is going to be, in a way, her sub Rune Knight kind of makes me think of like Howlet EX. Like, I think, you know, she's a lot of what we really wanted from Howlet EX when he does come out. And now I'm not really excited for Howlet EX anymore. Her Time Mage kit, of course, does have Transposition, Immobilize, Slow, Haste, Quicken, you know, all the goodies except for Stop. I mean, it's hard to go wrong here. In terms of weapons, you're going to be using the Pious Gloves. I actually think you would get the aim version for the 16 accuracy and 98 magic. You're also going to get wind attack 30, magic attack 15 on these puppies. So really good here. The Fervor of the Festival VC is really interesting because I like it. I like what it's kind of doing. It has really good accuracy up on it. It has decreased AP consumption for her. But the big thing, right, it has that accuracy plus 23 on it for the individual wind unit, but it has Dex plus 62, guys. So, I mean, it is stacking the accuracy something fierce here. It has Magic 155, HP 322, and this would also stop, like, wind units, magic wind units fighting for magic wind VCs. So while this is not the strongest magic VC for wind or the strongest wind VC, I do think it's relevant just because it does have the magic stat on it and the dexterity stat. It also has Man-Eater up 25, HP up 12%, which, I mean, that's good. Man-Eater up for magic attacks specifically. You know, I kind of wonder, I haven't tested this because it says Man-Eater with magic attacks. I'm curious if it's, when it says magic attacks, it's actually magic attack, or if it's attacks that are modified by the magic stat. I believe it's attacks modified by the magic stat, but I would have to go, I think that'll be like, I think I need to go test that because it's one of those situations where it's like it could be either or, and the wording can be a little confusing, so that might be something we want to go check. And it has Earth Resistance 20, so if you were running GL Zazan, I mean, just rip you. In terms of the other things going on, in terms of, you know, how you're going to counter her, let's just take a look at the poison resistant units that are available. El Sorel, top of the list at 50. Poison resistance, really good. Her EX is coming out in the near future. I could see a world, since Jaden also has poison resistance, where you're running like El Sorel, Jaden, and another light element unit, or maybe running Minwoo to support if you're just trying to counter her. In the wind camp, we do have Lucia and Gargus, which is pretty good. In the fire camp, we have Rain, which is, you know, if you consider we have Rain, Minwoo, and then Satya is coming out next month, this could be potentially relevant. And then finally, we also have Shadowlynx and Venera on Dark, with Kane as well. So you could potentially do, you know, maybe a little bit of Dark shenanigans, but there's not very much poison resistance out there in the world. King Mont has 10%, Ruinstern has 10%, but there's not a lot out there. One person, some people were pointing out that if you wanted to get away from the status ailments, potentially with, you know, if this is going to make wind really relevant, Rosa did just come out with an enhancement to Pure Prayer and Full Life. So this definitely makes Rosa more relevant. And I'm wondering if we're going to see more relevance with Rosa. It also makes Auron more relevant, because Auron does have some immunity abilities as well. So I'm wondering if we're going to see potentially like a Auron Rosa, you know, June counter to this wind meta. It'll be really interesting. It'll be very, very interesting to see. On the silence resistance front, it's bare bones. Little Leela has 50%, Moore and Kilfei have 50% silence resistance. Ramza and Yuna have 50%, and that's pretty much it. So, you know, even if you had Soul of Thalmassa, odds are you're still going to get silenced. Odds are that, you know, you're still going to get kind of in a situation where you may be in trouble. Again, though, Rain here does have 10 silence resistance, so maybe we see a world where Rain tries to resist status ailments, but you want his faith high anyway, so I feel like he will not. You know, it's gonna be interesting. We may have to start looking at, you know, units that are going to be able to buff status ailment resistances and set up your formations kind of dependent on that. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how guild battle and PvP changes over the next couple of weeks. I definitely think this is a huge change up, and I'm really excited for it, particularly with Satya coming hopefully next week. And, you know, maybe we'll see like Satya Rain, who knows. But all right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Remember, if you want to support me, use my affiliate link dig.gs/coins or dig.gs/offer, and have a great rest of your day.